What's up, everybody? You can look at the screen and think you got two of the three guys from Headlines or two of the guys from Wake Up Warchant. However you want to look at it. It's all up to you. We're here to talk about the Warchant Top 40. We have obviously unveiled the entire selection of players for the upcoming season, but we're focusing on the top five. Ira Schofel, managing editor of Warchant.com. Cory Clark, lead senior writer for Warchant.com. I'm Aslan Hajavandi, director of digital media. We're here to talk about the guy that fell number 4 on the list, or I should say maybe rose Ira Schofel to number 4 on the list, Malik Benson. And for the people that are not intimately aware of how this all works, when it comes down to the preseason top 40, Ira, it's all about opportunity and capability. Right. So explain to me how those two merged in your mind to make Malik Benson a number 4 on this list. I'll look at your ballot here real quickly. You had Mr. Benson at number 9.
You're putting me out on Front Street. You're putting my business on Front Street right here. You're exposing me. Yeah, I did. I think I had him lower than anybody else in the polling, and we have basically, I think it was 7 of us all submitted our own ballots. I think, like you said, I had him at number 9. I like him a lot. I think he's a really nice player. The problem was I just had a lot of other players that I knew more about. Like Malik Benson had a great spring. I was really impressed by him. He went into Alabama last year with a ton of hype. He was the number 1 junior college player in the country, had over 2,000 yards receiving in junior college, really was a dynamic player and was supposed to be all that at Alabama, but it didn't really materialize. So I didn't put him higher than some of the guys that I feel more confident about. There's other guys in my top 7 or top 8 that I think have great opportunities and are very important pieces of this team, but I just have more information on. The fact that Malik only caught 13, 16 passes last year at Alabama made me kind of push him below some of those others. But man, there's no doubt he's a hugely important, and they certainly need Malik Benson to be the number 1 receiver on this team.
Cory, Ira showed a lot of deference and respect to Malik Benson. He had him number 9 on his ballot. You have Malik Benson number 2 on your ballot. I expect much more effusive praise from you. What was your calculus that had Malik that high on your ballot?
Well, I think that if he ends up being a number 1 bona fide receiver, that impact speaks for itself, right? Like he is going to be very, very, he's going to be one of the top players on the team if he's the number 1 wide receiver. And to my eyes, through the spring, guys, I thought that he's the only one that had the capability to be a quote unquote number 1 receiver. He looked the part. He also played the part. And there was a moment like I get kind of, whelmed, not overwhelmed or underwhelmed. I get whelmed at practice sometimes. There's not a lot that really stands out. There'll be a couple plays here and there, but by and large, you kind of just, everything becomes pedestrian. Like, oh, there's a touchdown. Oh, that guy's fast. Oh, that's a really big arm. Malik Benson made a catch in spring, just one catch that I'm talking about, where I was like, oh, man, that's a really good catch. That's a nice catch. Good job, Malik. And Norvell goes, wow. Like, looked at me and goes, wow. Like, mouthed it very adamantly. And I'm like, okay, if this guy's even making his head coach, who just coached Keon Coleman and Johnny Wilson, react like that, there's something there that even maybe I don't see, and there's some potential there that Norvell understands is if it gets tapped into, could be season-changing. And I just think another thing, and Ira's right about what he's done at the college level, the Division I college level, it isn't much. But, man, it's hard to judge when he had the quarterback he had last year. Milroe, fine player, good athlete. He ain't seeing the field. Malik Benson with I don't know. I was going to say Greg McElroy, but we're not allowed to talk about him anymore. So Mac Jones. If Mac Jones had been the quarterback and Malik Benson was a receiver on that team, maybe he catches 45 balls last year. You know, it's hard to judge when Milroe is the quarterback, in my opinion.
The nice thing is now Mike Norvell knows all he has to do is make a little eye contact with Cory, and whoever he looks at is going to be in the top 5 of Cory's ballot next time coming around.
I didn't hear you. I knocked my headset out. Did you make fun of me?
I said great points.
That's what it seemed like you were saying right there at the end. Thank you.
A reminder to you folks watching, if you use the promo code FSU1, you'll get 2 months of access to warchant.com for only $1. So go hop and take advantage of that over at warchant.com after we're done with this video. Back to you, Ira. I know it's hard to put you into another person's shoes and give us their mindset, but do you think Malik Benson was recruited to Florida State explicitly as a potential number 1 wide receiver, or do you think it just made sense to more or less take a chance on a guy with that sort of skill set when you had a pretty large vacuum to fill in that position on this roster?
Yeah, I think he's a perfect fit, and I think Mike Norvell saw him as a perfect fit. The fact that you do lose Keon and Johnny from last year, the fact that he's a guy that they tried to recruit him out of junior college, they just couldn't get him. Surprisingly enough, Alabama won that battle going into last year. But I think that they've always valued him as that kind of player. But then you add into it his skill set. The fact that he's got great speed, I think, is a big deal. Like, I honestly think you can make an argument to bolster Cory's argument or anybody else who had him higher than me. One real thing you could really point to from Malik Benson is that speed. He's got elite speed, and that's going to be what DJ needs. Like, DJ Uyunglele, I don't think would be as – it would be nice to have the guys with the catch radius of Johnny Wilson and Keon Coleman, but because of his big arm, because of what they want to do in terms of running the ball and then hitting these big shots down the field, Malik can do everything, but I really think that the fact that he's got that top-end speed is going to make him very valuable to this offense. So I think everything was a perfect fit. Then I think even in the intangibles, I thought in the spring, we were all out there. We saw it with our own eyes. Then we heard Josh Storms and Mike Norvell and other people talk about the work ethic and the fact that he was always the first one there and the last one to leave and getting extra time with the jugs. And you see him coaching up some of the younger receivers. It just seems like, man, he's going to be a perfect fit. So even beyond what he does in the production on the field, I think that they're super excited about him in every way imaginable.
Doesn't he strike you, Ira? He did make contested catches. He made more contested catches in the spring than anyone, so he wasn't just like a speed dude. But doesn't he strike you as like the grown up in the room, like an NFL mindset grown? Like he does strike me as that guy already, and he had been on campus for 3 months. That was another thing that I thought was really encouraging.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. Where did you have him on your list, Aslan?
Why put my business out on Front Street?
I just can't remember. You got me between 2 and 9.
I'm at 10.
No, it wasn't between 2 and 9.
I thought I had him lowest. Did you really?
I'm at number 10 on my list. I just feel like I think the receiver, it's just going to be such a receiver by committee thing.
I assume he was highest on both. He was the highest receiver on both of y'all's lists, though, right?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, for sure, 100%.
Okay.
Yes, I had him 10. I'm sorry, I had him at 10 on my list. Next receiver I had was not great. 18th, I think I had Ja'Kai Douglas. Ira, you had Malik at number 9, and you had Ja'Kai 14th. So that was your second receiver. Yeah. I think we're going to see Hakeem having a really good game one day. I think we're going to see Kentron have a really good game one week. I feel like it's going to kind of be a revolving door of guys. I don't necessarily think there's going to be an alpha week in and week out. So I'm just like, I think like default, Malik will probably have the most stats. So I'll make him my number 1 wide receiver, but I don't think he'll have enough, impact to be, much higher than number 10 when you're going to split all those catches with everybody else.
But what if he is a second day NFL draft pick? I'm not expecting first round, but neither was Keon. I mean, I think Keon was the first pick of the second round, but what if he's the 55th player taken in the NFL draft? Do you think there's a possibility that happens? Because I really don't know. I think the ceiling might be that high, that he's a second round, third round type wide receiver that has accomplished nothing at the Division I level so far, but might this year.
Yeah, no, I will have erred. Yeah, I will definitely admit that I messed up on that. How much do you like the upside of him, Cory? I mean, you mentioned fit, Jalen Milroe. How much do you like just what we've heard from Coach Mike Norvell talking about the way he sees his offense playing out, DJ Uyunglele's skill set, and then Malik, and the melding of those two things to create that kind of opportunity to make the level of impact that you have him as high as you do on your ballot?
Yeah, I mean, I think it comes back to what I said earlier about the contested catches. I didn't know he had that in there. He was by far the leader, I thought, all spring in contested catches, some really tough ones. Then it's like, okay, back shoulder, going up over guys. He has that in there to go along with, I think, elite speed. It has not been harnessed yet. He hasn't done anything at this level. I keep reiterating that. But what you saw in the spring, yeah, man, he would have played last year at Florida State, and he'd have been a producer at Florida State. I think that he has a chance because of that. He's not 6'6", and he's not an incredible leaper. I don't think he might be, but the way he can go catch the ball in that speed, that's what I think the ceiling. We have no idea. I might look at this and say, man, I really screwed this up. He might end up being the 4th best receiver on this team. I have no idea. I just think his potential right now going into 2024, because of that speed, because of, like I said, the personality, the maturity, and then the way he can catch contested balls, I think he's got the highest ceiling. And that's why I think if he has the kind of year that he could have, if he had, and it's not even a numbers thing. If he makes one or two special plays a game, then yeah, man, he's going to be one of the most impactful players on the team and maybe one of the most impactful players in the conference. I'm sorry, but he hasn't done it yet. So I took a bit of I just think if he does turn into that guy, it's going to be enormous, clearly, for Florida State.
Any last final words, Ira, before we wrap up here?
Yeah, I just was going to follow up on that. I think that it's not just the catches where like he would go over somebody or when you hear a contested catch, a lot of times you think of like the ball up in the air and somebody's going to go get it. A lot of times it was those like sliding catches in traffic, or kind of using his body to shield himself, but not being afraid at all to go across the middle. So he's kind of got that complete receiver, which is a huge advantage. If the DB doesn't know, if you're only going to run 9 routes all day, like that helps the DB. If you're willing to go across the middle and can also go deep, those things all matter. So I think he's got that kind of total package. The one little like reservation that's kind of in the back of your head is, when we would put out some things from practice about this great play he made or this great day he had, I saw some, blowback from some Alabama fans on Twitter, basically like, yeah, we heard about that at practice too, but we didn't see it on game days. But what you have to believe or you have to hope if you're a Florida State fan is it's back to the point you made earlier that it's the quarterback was not very good. They had 2 pretty elite wide receivers outside that were their 2 returning receivers that Milroe clearly seemed to be looking to first. Those 2 guys got the lion's share of the catches, and then Malik was just basically like an afterthought in that offense because he wasn't sitting there reading through 4 or 5 progressions.
Right.
So that's your hope. On the other side of it, that's in the back of your mind that Alabama fans say they heard great things out of practice too. It didn't translate to Saturdays.
But don't you think that is a real point to make, Ira? Is that like he was there? There couldn't have been more than 3 or 4 plays a game where he was the number 1 read. He was always the 3rd read. Sometimes the 4th read, probably when he was on the field. That kid wasn't getting to his 3rd read.
Right.
If his 1st and 2nd read weren't open, he's taken off. They did not want him to get to his 3rd read. I think in a better offense with a better quarterback, clearly, I think that's where he can shine. Hopefully.
Yeah, no, I that's what I expect too. I think he's gonna. I don't think there's gonna be any question he's gonna be the number 1 wide receiver. I think there's a chance he's a guy who goes top 2 or 3 rounds in the NFL draft. And I think he's gonna have a big year. So I probably should have had him a little higher. But again, I wasn't going to put him ahead of the Josh Farmers and Patrick Paytons and those guys. So that's where I have him on the list.
He was having a good spring game too before he got a little bit nicked up. So not just a practice player, as a gamer as well, showing in the scrimmage.
Yeah.
Good thing is we're not going to have to wait that long or much longer rather to find out just how good Malik Benson can be and this team. As you're watching this video as it debuts, we're going to be only a few days away from the start of camp. You're going to want to know every single thing that's going on. Cory and his 20/20 vision with those spectacles helping him out is going to have all the observations you're going to need, as well as Ira will. I'll be out there. Matt Lasser is going to be out there. Tom Lang's going to hop in there. Jeff Cameron's going to hop out there. Gene Williams taking photos. Michael Langston covering.
Ben Spicer, buddy.
Guys are coming on campus. Ben Spicer is going to be out there as well. Everything you need. Warchant.com, the ultimate Seminoles sports source. Hit the thumbs up. Would appreciate it. And check us out for only $1 for 2 months. Use the promo code FSU1. Gentlemen, thanks for your time and most importantly, your knowledge.